President Barack Obama's 6-month moratorium on deepwater drilling in the Gulf has sent shudders across the coast offshore oil industry, as the AP's Bonnie Ghosh reports.
You gotta pull that leg up so you get the
In the sweltering Louisiana heat, these men suit up in hazmat suits and gas masks to learn a few basics in handling spills.
Put this at an angle.
Here in Morgan City, these men and a few women learn about rigging at the only offshore rig in the country open to the public, the Mr. Charlie.
The Mr. Charlie is the first movable drilling rig ever built for offshore use, so it is a piece of history. Went to work in 1954.
The group is training to work offshore, part of what could be one of the last graduating classes. They all started the 9-day class before learning of President Barack Obama's moratorium on deepwater drilling.
Right now, I'll take anything.
Rodney Phillips comes from a family of oil workers. His dad worked for Texaco, his uncle worked for BP. As he looks for work offshore, he realizes there's always a potential for another catastrophe.
I don't want it to happen, but I gotta provide for my family.
Everything in this town is tied to the oil industry, specifically offshore drilling. That 6-month moratorium has really put people here in a bind. If that moratorium were to be permanent, it could wipe Morgan City off the map.
It would devastate this area.
Virgil Allen manages the Mr. Charlie. He was raised in Morgan City, and as heartbreaking as the tragedy in the Gulf is, he doesn't want to see his community go under.
The vast majority of people in this area still want drilling. They don't say stop drilling because of this spill, just like we haven't stopped flying because of a plane going down, and more than one.
The president announced he'll set aside $100 million for those out of work because of the moratorium. But that doesn't answer the question of what happens to Morgan City in the long run. For now, the Mr. Charlie has stopped all new training on the rig. In Morgan City, Louisiana, Bonnie Ghosh, The Associated Press.
A Rhode Island mother says that her son's school cited its no weapons policy in stopping her second grader from wearing a patriotic hat that he had made to honor Army troops.
8-year-old David Morales just wanted to honor U.S. troops when he designed a hat with an American flag and small plastic Army figures. But the class project ended up running afoul of his school's no weapons policy because the toy soldiers were carrying tiny guns. His parents say the school didn't take the hat as a salute. Rather, they told David to take the hat home. They say the school called and said the hat was inappropriate.
And I asked why, and she said, well, because there's guns on it. I said, they're Army guys, and she said, well, they're guns.
The school's zero-tolerance policy says students may not bring to school weapons of any kind, regardless of the fact it may be a toy. David's dad says his son was just trying to be patriotic.
My son did it not with any mal intent. There's the zero tolerance basically speaks of showing anything that depicts any maliciousness to any other child or anyone or anything. He did not do that.
Regardless of policy, David's mom thinks banning the hat sent the wrong message to the kids.
Sometimes you have to take a stand for what you think is right, even if nobody else stands up with you. You do have to voice your opinion in a nice way and talk about it. In the end, you do have to follow through on what the authorities finally decide. And in this case, the principal decided it was not appropriate. We disagreed, but then respected her decision.
David's mom says her son was inspired to honor the military after striking up a friendship last summer with a neighbor in the Army. Myra Lopez, The Associated Press.
Well, Harrison Ford and Callista Flockhart have tied the knot. This a wedding presided over by New Mexico's governor.
Harrison Ford and Callista Flockhart have finally gotten married, but the bigger news may be who presided over Tuesday's wedding. New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson. The former presidential candidate has played host to Spanish royalty and North Korean diplomats, but this marked the first wedding at the governor's mansion. Richardson is not a minister, so he had some help from New Mexico Supreme Court Justice Charles Daniels to make the union official. Ford and Flockhart have been together for several years and got engaged last year. When asked about details of the wedding, the governor's staff was tight-lipped, saying it was a private matter. Ross Simpson, The Associated Press.